Tanto dolor dentro. Tanta rabia. Que no puedes contenerla.
Well, hello, Sydney. It's Gonzalo from Ecuador in Spain. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Well, first of all, congratulations for the show. We have seen the first 3 episodes and they are amazing. I can't wait for more.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first thing I have to ask you, because Echo is an R-rated show, it's much more violent than any other Marvel product from till now. So how important was it to represent this violence?
Yeah, I think it all stems from the story and the character, right? Like one of the most interesting things and exciting things for me is the fact that Maya Lopez is a villain. When we meet her in Hawkeye and we come into our series, she's a villain. And so, but within that and exploring the character and, asking ourselves the question of how does a deaf indigenous girl from the state of Oklahoma in the middle of America end up being one of Kingpin's top lieutenants in his army? You, you don't ascend to those ranks without being particularly exceptional at what you do. And so that was fun to explore. And, as we were developing the series and, the response from Marvel was like, oh, let's lean into that. Let's see if we can push the envelope. Let's see how far down that rabbit hole we can go. And that really led to the sort of the visual tone, style, and aesthetic of our series because, we're not dealing with the fate of the universe in our world. We don't have these like cosmic consequences that we're dealing with. Our story is much more human. It's much more intimate. Our stakes are on the community level, on the family level, but that allows us to also hopefully raise the stakes of a situation because in our world, people die, people get killed, people bleed, bones get broken, and in order to portray the world of Maya Lopez and be true to that experience, that meant we had to be a little more violent and a little more gritty and a little darker, frankly.
Yeah, I find it very interesting, this fact that it's so grounded. So related to that, we have Kingpin. We also have Daredevil in the first episode, at least. So I have to ask you, how much influence did the Daredevil show had in Echo, both in the tone, in this violent tone, but also in the narrative, especially in the Kingpin story?
Yeah, I think outside of this series, I'm just a huge fan of the Netflix Daredevil series. So, and I think in our sort of in the research and preparing myself for the show, I tried to refamiliarize myself with the comic books, the comic version of Maya Lopez, of Echo. There's even a Kingpin miniseries in the Marvel comic books that was quite enjoyable, and then that also dovetailed into this idea of like season 3 of the Netflix series. We talked a lot about in the writer's room how Kingpin's superpower isn't his strength, it's his intellect, and it's his ability to sort of like psychologically get into people's heads to manipulate them to get what he wants, and so I tried to pull from as many resources as I could just to familiarize myself with the characters, the situations, and it definitely doesn't hurt to have Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox and there alongside Maya Lopez.
That's great. And now I have to ask you about this brand, Marvel Spotlight, which is new with Echo. So I want to ask you, why was it so important to start this brand with a series which makes it so independent from the rest of the MCU?
Oh, I'll just say like we made the show regardless. The Marvel Spotlight, that was above my pay grade. So it was sort of created independently of me. But when we added it to the series and I saw what Marvel was trying to do, I was actually incredibly excited at what it could be.
That's great. Now I have to ask you about this. I don't know if you can answer it, but I have to. Even if it's kind of an independent show from the rest of the MCU, how much influence will it have in the future of the franchise, especially, of course, in Daredevil Born Again?
Oh, I hope it has my hope is that there's an incredible influence from the series, and I hope that Maya Lopez gets to kick ass all over the MCU after this. I hope I get to see her all over the place. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
That would be great. Okay, so yeah, they are telling me that I have to wrap up this first interview, so thank you very much.
Así que... ¿Quién es el monstruo?